Hello and welcome to the Beautiful Feet podcast. My name is Pete and I'm joined by my co-host Karen. Hi Karen.
Hello.
And today we are talking all things university, and who better to get on this conversation than Imo from UCCF and Josh from FUSION. Hi guys.
Hey, great to be with you.
So great to have you on.
Could you give us a little intro into who you are and what do you do with your weeks? What are your jobs?
I'm Imo. I work for an organisation called UCCF, which stands for the Universities and Colleges Christian Fellowship. Yeah, and my job title is a staff worker, but essentially my role is to support Christian unions. I specifically work in London and I work with the students that make up those Christian unions. So my week often involves going along to those CU meetings and reading the Bible one-to-one or in small groups with those students.
My name's Josh. I work for FUSION. So FUSION exists to help the local church reach and disciple university students. My role specifically within that is that I am a church partnerships developer, which means that I would get to work with those churches directly. So I get the joy of coming alongside to student workers, supporting them, blessing them, reinforcing and championing them in student mission opportunities. Yeah, it's just wonderful. We get to work with the church. Isn't that the best?
Amazing.
Imo, you studied at Manchester Uni, am I right?
Yeah, that's right, at the School of Art there.
Oh, lovely. And Josh, you went to Leeds.
Yeah, big up. Come on, the North is being represented.
Absolutely. It is a big up the North. I'm not from the North, as you can hear, but God bless you all in the North. But if you pedal back a few years for a moment to your uni days, do you remember how you felt in the months before you went? Maybe think like when you got your results to kind of getting in the car or train or bus.
I was really anticipating starting university. I had taken a year in between finishing my A-levels and going to Manchester. And so a big flock of my friends had gone off to university and I'd sort of, through Instagram stories, had vicariously been living through them. And so I felt like a bit behind. And so I was really raring to go. But yeah, a bit nervous as well. It was the first time living away from home. So that comes with lots of nerves, but generally excited.
Also taken a gap year. I went abroad for 6 months to Kosovo in like Central Eastern Europe.
Wow.
Which was really fun. Had an amazing time. So I felt a little bit more prepared, I guess.
Yeah.
And yet, in spite of that, I would say I probably still was one of the most nervous I have ever been in my life. Driving up to Leeds that day, I remember distinctly. Classic, my parents took the wrong turning, but they took the wrong turning and we kind of drove round the accommodation block that I was meant to be going into. And I could feel my heart in my chest. And I was like, how am I more nervous here than I am going to another country, knowing only like 3 people in this entire nation?
Yeah.
And yet I'm kacking myself at the thought of moving into a bigger flat. Like it was bizarre, but very exciting.
Yeah. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting you to say that with both of you. The minute you said gap years, I thought, oh, they'll be fine. But okay, that's really interesting. So let's hit the listeners with some wisdom straight away then. How would you speak to those who are feeling right now nervous or worried about going?
The best thing you can do is prepare. Like, I think part of the reason I was kacking myself so much was because I didn't really know what I was going into. I didn't really know what I was expecting. So I was just going in with a head full of what ifs, a head full of what are people going to think of me, knowing full well that I'd been in this context before. We've all been in context before where we have gone into a room full of people we don't know and need to make friends. I'm sure our listeners have done it so many times. We've gone to school, go to youth groups, whatever. It's no different going to uni. If anything, people are more nervous than you are. But preparing is the best way, I think, to get past those nerves. And when you're in there, then you know what your next step is.
I was very prepared. I'm like come from a very type A family. I'm very type A. And so I think I'd like researched everything about my student accommodation. I'd researched like all the local, like where my supermarket was, like how long it would take me to walk from my accommodation to where my lectures would be. Like I was so practically prepared. I'd done the IKEA trip. I had everything I needed. But you can't prepare for who you'll meet. Like that's just an unknown. I was put in a group chat with the people that I'd be sharing my flat with ahead of moving in. So you sort of get a bit of a glimpse into who you might be sharing with. You might have a group chat like that or not. But yeah, you can't prepare really for the conversations and the people. So I'd prepared practically lots. But yeah, you just don't know. And so I'd say, yeah, start praying for the people that you'll be sharing your flat with, that you'll be going to lectures with. Yeah, but I think that's the best preparation you can do because, yeah, that's the thing you don't know.
Let's just stay on that preparation bit for a while as well. Like, are there any other kind of practical things that you would say, yeah, in the build up to uni, do this, or I wish I'd done this? And then also spiritually, obviously you mentioned prayer there. Are there other ways that people can start to prepare spiritually in those months leading up to university?
Yeah, I mean, practically, I feel like I had a big list of things I wanted to get done. Like I wanted to make sure that I had everything I needed to make my room feel at home. Like, yeah, for me, it was the first time living away from home. So having a few things that reminded me of home, whether that's like bedding or, particular spices or like things that you like flavors of home, things like that.
Yeah.
So those are really nice comforts when you're sort of, yeah, getting used to living independently for the first time. So, and then, yeah, spiritually, yeah, I was relatively new to Christian things joining university. So I think I didn't really quite understand the power of prayer in terms of preparation. And if I look back now, I think if I could tell myself anything, it would be, just like pray into it more. Yeah, ask the Lord to, yeah, be preparing you for the conversations and the people you'll meet, the sort of different environments and new places you'll be stepping into. Yeah, for ease for you, and then for opportunities with those people as well.
I definitely back up that you should pray. Praying is pretty good. But particularly, I think inviting other people to cheerlead you as well.
Yeah.
Like going to university, if you're coming from a church background, you're being sent into a unique and exciting mission opportunity.
Yeah.
God is doing some awesome things on our campuses. So having a church send you, I think is really beautiful and really exciting. So having someone from your home church, whether you've asked them or your youth worker or whoever, sending you, praying for you as you go, because, prayer works. I think we've probably all seen the joys of when someone else is praying for us and praying ahead of us, that when we go into that space, the Lord is already at work. So I definitely say, get someone to cheerlead you and champion you as you go through this process. I think practically, some of the other things that I've seen really be really helpful is preparing your heart ahead of going to university, knowing who you are, be yourself, I suppose. Like going into this space, not feeling like you need to be someone else or need to be someone cooler, someone who dresses a certain way or has a certain attitude to life. But in Ephesians, we see that, God made you and knows the very number of hairs on your head, and yet he loves you there. So going to a university context where you know that you are loved and cherished for being the person you are, not the person you want to be, I think is a really helpful framework. And I think, I don't want to plug our resources, but
no, go for it.
So we have a course called the Prep for Uni course, which basically you can do either individually or like with other people going to university as well. But I find it really helpful to just work out what am I expecting? What am I hoping for in this place? So that when you arrive there on your new doorstep, you aren't just like, uni something that's happening to me. And you go into your bedroom and you close the door and you go, oh, what am I doing? But knowing that when I open that door again, I know what I'm looking to do here. Like I know what my purpose is. I know what I'm being sent for, so that I know the next steps of what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, really helpful answers. Thank you. And yeah, we'll put the links to any resources we mentioned today in the show notes, so you can check that out.
There was so much in that, Pete, wasn't there? Like, it's absolutely gold. And I'm going to pick up the one thing which was the smallest thing mentioned, which was the herbs and spices. Someone moved into our house recently. We've got a lodger, and he had like a very small amount of clothes, a very large amount of spices. He puts paprika on absolutely everything. So it was like the first thing he put away in the kitchen. It was like, and now I've learned that I have to always constantly have paprika or the man can't handle it. Literally puts it on macaroni cheese, which I'll have a rant about another time.
I like him. He sounds great.
It's not for macaroni cheese though. That's how I feel. Anyway, focusing on the important things. Sorry, but I loved it. The herbs and spices one just got me. Jump forward to arriving at uni for the first time. So we've prepared. We've done all the things: herbs, spices, cheerleading, prayer. What was it like those first few weeks when you landed? Have you got any highlights, any lowlights?
Highlights and lowlights. I think highlight was just, getting to know people. I had two people in my flat who I really just loved spending time with. I remember when I first joined my little Facebook chat for the people in my chat, in my flat, and there was one other guy, and he was so muscly, and I'm over there like I am this pale stick-like creature, and then you've got like he was a beautiful man,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, this is scary. How am I going to be friends with him? And he was just the sweetest, most lovely bloke in the world. Stanley Rowan, I love that man. But it was such a treat to get to know the people in my flat and really build connections. I think I also found it really helpful to then connect with people who were Christians as well, who knew what it was like, particularly the church that I found. There's lots of people who had gone to university already, who were already at university, people, 50-year-olds who came to Leeds 40 or 30 odd years ago and stuck around. So they knew what it was like and welcoming you and blessing you, offering free food, always a win. But particularly, I think I loved forming connections with my church in Leeds to then be pointed towards Jesus in what I think was probably one of the most anxious periods of my life, when you're constantly meeting new people and trying to put your best self forward the whole time. And yet knowing that I also definitely can't put my best forward the whole time. You're going to make mistakes. Yeah, but like building those connections and having people that you can lean on immediately in those first 2 weeks, because everyone else is in the same boat too.
That's something I definitely pick up on as well, is that you're not alone walking into the scenario you're walking into. Like everyone around you is also new and is looking to form relationships, make friendships, do fun things. And so like you have that common ground and instantly you're all in the same boat. So never feel like you're more nervous than the person next to you. Like everyone is bricking it. And yeah, I mean, often, so it's slightly different for international students sometimes. So you maybe move in the weekend before Freshers Week, and then you're chucked into a Freshers Week where there's like often lots going on. But I think sometimes it sounds like there's lots going on. And so when you find yourself at a loose end in Freshers Week, you sort of feel a bit like, oh no, am I doing the right thing? And that's definitely how I felt in Freshers Week. There's sort of, you haven't found your feet yet, you haven't found your routines. There's a lot of that figuring out and sort of downtime that you're spending next to these new people. Some really good advice I got and never followed. So take the advice that I didn't, was to, when you move into your uni flat, like take a teapot and like take something like some baked good, because I think food really is like the best way to kind of start sharing and meeting people where they're at. And so if you can take some brownies in a teapot or whatever like suits you, just to kind of share with those people that are going to be in your immediate flat, or if you can share meals with the people you live with, that is a really great thing to start connecting with people. But yeah, don't be afraid of the downtime. If you have like a Wii or an Xbox or something, like a Nintendo Switch, take that. That is a great way to kind of pass some time with new people, like a physical game as well, like a board game. Like that's a good way to kind of pass time. You're doing something together with people that are new.
It's definitely one of your best friends when you go to university. Like being able to just whip out a pack of cards.
Yeah.
And there's so many games. It's useful for any time of day or night. So helpful.
Really helpful tips, practical tips there for those first few weeks, which can be, quite tricky landing in that new place. So thank you. That's really helpful. Move on and think a bit about Christian Union. Imo, this is something I know UCCF particularly has a real focus on, supporting Christian unions in universities. Some of our listeners may be involved in Christian unions already at their sixth form, so they'll get a little bit of this, but maybe for some of our listeners, they've never been involved in a Christian union. So tell us briefly what a Christian union might look like at a university and why students should consider going along to one.
Yeah, so Christian unions, if you're unfamiliar with what they are, Christian unions are groups of Christian students on campus with the aim of giving every student at that university the opportunity to hear and respond to the gospel of Jesus. So they're not church. I think Josh will talk in a little bit about what church is. But essentially, if you think about you go to your local church and your CU is like your mission group in your context. So you go to university, your new context is your university campus and those people. So every CU looks slightly different. It's always made up of a variety of different like denominations and backgrounds, which is really great. There's real beauty in that variety. And so typically a Christian union will meet at least once a week, kind of at a central gathering where, the Bible will be opened. There'll be opportunity to pray together, and you'll think a bit about what it looks like and is to be a Christian in your specific context. There are wonderful things to get involved in. I got stuck into my CU in Freshers Week. CUs often put on a lot of events in those first few weeks. So if you have the opportunity to get stuck in, do. If you look on the UCCF website and you look on the starting uni page, there's a big list of all the Christian unions at the different universities across Great Britain. So you'll hopefully find your local CU group.
And can people make contact with the CU of the uni they're going to ahead of time?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that UCCF webpage, find my CU is really helpful. Often that points you to the CU's Instagram page, which is usually like the hub of information.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, as soon as results day hits, the CU will sort of start being like, "Oh, welcome to the CU, welcome to Manchester or wherever you're going." And you can literally just DM. You know that if you send a message to an Instagram CU page, there's just a student on the other side who is just really pleased to hear from you.
That's great. Really good. What kind of things do Christian unions get up to? Paint a little bit of a picture for us.
Yeah, Christian unions are just a great group to be a part of. They're sort of, along with church, they're instantly a way for you to connect with other Christian students, like-minded Christian students. Like they're a great way to make friends, but that's not their primary purpose. Their primary purpose is, for the sake of the gospel, to give those that don't yet know Jesus an opportunity. So that's like being equipped when you're together, sort of in those CU meetings, thinking about what it is to do evangelism, to witness to your friends, and then you actually get to go and do that. You're encouraged to do that independently, sort of your own personal evangelism with your flatmates and course mates that are very unique to you, and just be faithful in your daily witness to those friends. So that's like the personal evangelism you're encouraged and equipped in through CU. And then there's like group events as well. So typically CUs will, it sounds really scary, but often like go onto campus, sometimes with like a tea and cake stand, just, serving students' needs practically, just like with a cup of tea on a cold day maybe, but also, kind of open up space to have those initial conversations with passers-by, your students that you wouldn't typically meet maybe in a lecture, start having those conversations about Jesus. You always do that with another person, and it's scary the first time you do it, and then it gets easier and easier. And then, CUs often put on things like events weeks, which are, weeks where you spend, a whole week doing public declarations of the gospel, and you do that within a big group, and it's just a really great way to be inviting those friends that you have met into opportunities to hear from the Bible, hear about the Lord Jesus, and share what is so great about him.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, it's really helpful painting that picture of CU.
So my question to you then is, CU sounds amazing, and imagine that the people listening have a wonderful home church. Controversial question, but is it really necessary to go to church when you're at uni? Do you need to find a uni church? Discuss.
You go first.
Oh, I was going to say get Josh on this. But I was going to say, just to start with, like, church is incredible. Church is your primary spiritual home, your spiritual family. It's where you get discipled. CU is not church. Let me be really clear. It's a wonderful missional group to be a part of, but church is where you grow spiritually. So I'll let Josh talk a bit about that.
I think CU was fantastic as well. Like, to CU was a wonderful thing. You don't really see at any other point in life that you can journey together as an unified group of different Christians from different backgrounds and different churches coming together for it. Like, we agree that we all want everyone to know Jesus, and we all think that every person on our campus will have a better life if Jesus is in it. Wonderful opportunity to be involved in. But a church, I think a church is just so good. It is the place that I think we see in Genesis, the Lord says in Adam, it's not good for you to be alone. I think so often we go to university and we think about, what am I doing? What was God going to use me for? And that's wonderful. But God is actually already at work in your university city. And the best place to see where God is at work is with his people. We see in 1 Corinthians that we are all parts of the body. And the Lord loves that you are an ear or a hand or whatever. You are part of a body. And actually, an ear needs to be a part of the face, a part of the body to work properly. You are going to thrive as a part of Christ's body in your university city. And when I came to university, I was, like I said, pooping myself. But coming into a warm welcome in a church where you are seen and known and loved, and people want to champion you in a way that other university students aren't always in a position to do. I remember I spent about 6 months when I first came to uni before I saw a baby. And I was like, what do you mean? I haven't seen a baby in 6 months. Not that I was seeing babies all the time before that, but there was just something about going to university
Yeah.
that you get suddenly wrapped up in this bubble of other people in the same age gap, in the same bubble and demographic. And then you go to church, and it's a really beautiful reminder that the rest of the world also exists.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I'd encourage people going to university to think about, what am I doing here? Am I just here for these 3 years to reap the benefits of being a uni student, to become really brainy? Maybe I'll tell my friends about Jesus. Or am I here for the next 3 years to serve this city, to really invest?
That's great.
I think I would speak to the church being a really vital way of unpacking what that looks like. One of the best ways to then get plugged in with the church is studentlinkup.org. It's a fantastic tool, but I loved this tool. So basically, you put in your name, your university, and when you're going, and it'll give you a list of every university, every church in that university city, who they are, what they do, where they meet. Gives you a little bio. And the best bit is that, again, go back to the direct messaging. It's got a direct messaging platform so you can get in contact with the student worker, the church leader, whoever. I found it so helpful. I think every university student, everyone going to university should have Student Link Up as an app downloaded on their phone. I know I'm biased, but, convince me I'm wrong.
No, I don't need to. I think that's brilliant. I think that's great. And it's really helpful, isn't it, to start to think about what church might I end up in, start doing that bit of research, start reaching out. Let's talk evangelism. This is an evangelism podcast primarily. And today's a bit of a special episode. We've obviously been focusing on prepping for uni, but we also know that going to uni gives loads of evangelistic and missional opportunities. And actually, there's a load of stats out there that show that there's a real openness that people have to things of faith, things of God when they're at that uni stage, people who meet Jesus when they're at uni. So for those Christian students who are heading off to uni, how would you encourage them to make the most of that opportunity?
Yeah, university is such a wonderful opportunity to share Jesus with people around, your students around you. I mentioned that I sort of was exploring Christian things before coming to university, was sort of what you might call a baby Christian, hadn't grown up in the church right before starting university. And so it was at university that I got stuck in my church and sort of was surrounded by other Christians. And I really kind of, got to enjoy evangelism for the first time. And it's such a melting pot of people who have this common ground of, okay, we're here to learn, but we're also here to kind of self-discover, like you're figuring out, you're independent for the first time. You're figuring out, okay, what is it that I want to focus on? But this is for Christians and non-Christians. I think everyone starting university is figuring out friendships, how they want to spend their time. And often it is a moment in someone's life where they really consider quite a lot of the big questions. I certainly was figuring out who I was and what I believed, what the meaning of life was. I think that's also so university is just like it's the best place to start practicing sharing your faith, and it's full of opportunities. You're surrounded by people, often from lots of different cultures as well, and that can be really exciting. Maybe for someone to take the first step with the Lord Jesus. Yeah, it's great.
I remember when I first came, but just before I came to uni, my youth worker sat me down. She was like, "Josh, when you go to university, there is something really special out of the context. When I came to university, I encountered Jesus for myself. And as you go, I want you to just be prepared for what it is that you're stepping into. Because at university, people come and, like you said, Imo, like you're there perhaps for the first time stepping out on your own. You're trying to work out what you think, what you feel. You're really keen to try new things because this is the best time for it. So why would you not offer Jesus?
Yeah.
A life with God, a God who you can know and understand and have a relationship with. Why would you not offer that to someone as they're trying out new things? This is the best opportunity for it. And I remember when I went, I then was really intentional. I was like, okay, got to be here to talk about Jesus. But I've also felt like I need to have it all worked out. I need to be able to know everything. So when I had those, conversations at 3 a.m. in the morning, where your housemates are like, so you're a Christian. What does that mean? Like, does that mean that you think I'm going to hell? And then I was like, oh, this is scary. How do I have this conversation? And I felt this pressure that I had to say the right thing. And if I said the right thing, that they would immediately become Christians right there, aren't they? Now, I think there's there's something in that I think speaks to that some of the pressures that we can feel going to university as a Christian. But what I would say is, from what I'm seeing at university, uh, the pressure is not on you to say the right thing. There is an opportunity there for you to live as someone who is being transformed by walking with Jesus.
Yeah.
Across the country, we are seeing this phenomenal spiritual openness. But probably for the last 5 years or so, we've been throwing out statistics every year about how 76% of university students who aren't Christians would go to church if they're invited by a friend.
Mm-hmm.
I just let that sink in that 3/4 of our campuses would go to church if they're invited by a friend. And that's not to say that I need to then say the right thing for them to give Jesus a go. That's saying that these other students, they are spiritually hungry and are looking to see what works. I invite people to try church and encounter for themselves that, Jesus is real and loves you. I hear stories every week. Every week in my church, we are seeing students walking in who are completely unchurched. There was one student, I haven't asked her permission to share the story, so I'll call her Jess. She was a bit nervous about coming to church. She wasn't a Christian, no Christian background, but her housemate was Maltese, even though she never really went to church. So she was like, well, come to church with me. I'll bring you along. I know what a church looks like. So they came along. I had the privilege of saying hello and welcoming them when they were sat down. And she said, I just really wanted to try a church, but I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what I would expect, and no one has invited me. So her housemate, who wasn't a Christian, invited her to come and try church with her.
Wow.
Then over the next year, she was only there for one more year at university. Over the next year, she journeyed through faith and got baptized by the end of the year. She then left university, left Leeds, and moved to a different city. But she was still in contact with her old uni mates. Then a few months later, this guy walked in and he was telling me, oh yeah, I was chatting to my friend Jess, and I was just curious about church. And she sent me a text and said, well, try this church, because that's what I did. And I had a great time. Every week, there are students who are curious, who do not get invited to church, but would do if they were.
Yeah.
5 years ago, this wasn't happening. Right now, the opportunity has never been as amazing as it is now.
Yeah, that's really inspiring. Really inspiring. I think as well, one thing I would just add in to the mix as well. I think one of the challenges sometimes is with all the wonderful stuff that you can get involved with church, and all the wonderful stuff you can get involved with Christian Union, there can be a bit of a danger of losing yourself in that Christian bubble and only spending time with Christians, or filling all your evenings with church and CU activities. And so I think I would just add into the mix in there. I think to be able to do some of the stuff that you, Josh, were saying there, and Imo as well, of actually being able to have those conversations, to have those 3 a.m. conversations, actually being really deliberate as well, isn't it, about spending time with non-Christians, maybe joining a society that isn't a Christian society, or being really deliberate in going and doing some evenings out, or doing some nights in with your housemates, so that you aren't kind of hiding yourself away with just Christians.
I'm excited and encouraged, and I would like more of this, please and thank you. So, Josh and Imo, are there anyways, because I know there is. Tell me about when God has been at work with your mates, with your friends, with your course, when you guys were at uni.
So much.
Yay!
The Lord he really does go before you. He's not surprised at the university you end up at. He's not surprised by the friends you meet. He's already made those opportunities for you to step into. It's not for you to manufacture. He's already placed you among the people that he knows and is excited for you to share the gospel with. Something I'd really highlight is that kind of the best spiritual opportunities come out of the most genuine friendships. And so I think I'd really encourage. The best stories I have of people I just did normal life with, was the one girl I met on the first day I had a lecture, sat next to. She became my friend for the whole time I was at university, and you just do genuine life alongside them, and you just talk about normal things. And I think the best evangelistic tip is to just ask loads of questions and to listen really well. And so I have no grand end to her story. We still keep in touch. She's not yet a Christian, but she came along to Christian Union events. She came along to church and Christmas events and things like that. And we had really wonderful conversations about how much I was enjoying Jesus. And I think she could tell that there was something. She'd always say like, "Oh, there's something, isn't there? There's something different,"
Yeah.
and people really do notice it. I have an encouragement from the students that I work with at the moment to a girl who, yeah, again, we'll call her Katie. She sort of turned up to university and at quite a small college and just really felt that she was being called to be obedient and really wanted to be obedient in her witnessing during her time at university. And so that there wasn't even a Christian union at her very small college, and she was decided I'm going to start one. And
Wow.
so in the first year, she put a group chat message out to her whole year group and said, "Look, we're going to read the Bible. If you're interested in finding out anything about Christianity, like do come along." For a few weeks, no one turned up. It was just me and her. But she kept sharing that invite. And then there was a girl on her course who she already had a bit of a genuine connection with, inviting her along, a girl who had no Christian background at all, but was actually really struggling with loneliness and was really struggling to find her feet in London. Started coming along and found, yeah, genuine friendship with this one girl and a few others that had started coming along. And after a few weeks, we'd been reading through the Sermon on the Mount together, and she was taking a real interest. She sort of had all the right answers despite not yet knowing the Lord Jesus. And then eventually, yeah, this one girl invited her along to church and was like, you should come to church and hear more there. And she came along, and within a few weeks, she gave her life to Jesus. And it was because it was a genuine invite. It was like, I really care about you, and like I know how richly the Lord has blessed my life and
Mm.
has saved me, and I want that for you too. And it was through like a genuine connection and invitation, like holding out, come hear about this Lord Jesus. It was through that this girl came to faith, and the best conversations and opportunities I had at uni, the Lord had already prepared. I just like shyly stepped into, and yeah, he worked so powerfully through them. So yeah, don't worry about trying to manufacture the perfect answer in the perfect setting. Like they're usually quite messy. You say the wrong thing, but actually really interesting conversation comes out of it. And yeah, the Lord does bring and draw his children home.
I think, that's that 76% will go to church if they're invited. 33% of people who aren't Christians would read the Bible with a friend. All of these came through. The caveat is they would do it with a friend, by someone that they know and love and are loved by in return. I've got a couple of mates who I've been journeying with for a long time. Some of my best friends who stick around, who come every year to the Christmas services with me. It's just such a privilege to then like that they know you as their Christian friend who they can ask any questions when they want to go and try something, when they want to read the Bible. I've had friends send me screenshots to be like, just started a Bible devotional. I'm like, you're not a Christian. Why are you reading the Bible? But I love it.
That's great.
Please more. Please tell me more. Being asked to pray with your friends. Again, they're not Christians, but they recognize that there's something in the way that Jesus has a shape on your life. Yeah. So like there is a massive opportunity, and especially amongst international students, I say that there's a
Yeah.
really unique opportunity to come alongside people who are new to the country, let alone new to the city, who are keen to explore what it is to be British and see what British culture is, whilst wanting to be known and loved, being able to extend a warm welcome, particularly in the political climate we're in. I think it's quite, there's a lot of anxiety in some of the international students coming to this city.
That's really good. Really helpful. I think we're coming to the end of our time, really. I guess to finish, just a final question. UCCF, Fusion are both brilliant organisations set up to support students in Christian Union, in finding church, in just living for Jesus during that time. What would be a couple of things that you would both mention that you'd want to point those preparing to go to uni to?
I mentioned Student Link Up. Fantastic. Please download Student Link Up. Either as an app, go on the website, studentlinkup.org, and just check out the churches, see what they are in your city. I send them a message and say, I'm coming to the city, think about joining the church. To check out the Prep for Uni course, it's on our website. I also really recommend checking out Fusion Student Evangelist Network. It literally requires nothing of you, but we just want to give you opportunities, resources, training. There's some weekends away throughout the year to connect with other people from across the country.
Amazing.
Yeah, I've already pointed you towards just the general UCCF website. There's a ton of online resources on there, and then specifically it helps you connect with what will be your local university Christian union. So do check out the website there. But I think the greatest resources are the people you'll meet in your Freshers Week. Just go be brave and go along to that first Christian Union event. If you just type in your university and then Christian Union into Instagram, you'll undoubtedly find one. And just go along to one of the events they're running in Freshers or multiple, and you'll meet someone in second, third year, and they are the best people to connect with. They've done first year. They've been in your shoes really recently, and they can give you really great advice. And they'll also be someone that you can pray with. Yeah, start praying now for your time at university. Continue rooting yourself in scripture, hearing what the Lord has to say before you go, and you hear a lot of different voices while you're at university. And then if while you're at the Christian Union meetings you meet someone called a staff worker like me or a relay worker who are from UCCF and they invite you for a coffee, you don't have to, but do go for a coffee with them. They're all really great folks.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Josh. Thank you, Imo, for your time today. And hopefully today has been really resourcing, really encouraging. And yeah, just knowing that God is with you, that God is already at work at your uni, in the city, in the area where you are, that you will have an amazing time at university. You'll make some lifelong friends, hopefully come out with some kind of qualification. But more than that, actually, that God will be at work through you for his kingdom and for the gospel and for his glory. And yeah, that's all from this kind of special episode of Beautiful Feet looking at prepping for uni. Keep listening. We'll have more episodes coming up, more guests talking about mission and evangelism in lots of other different spaces and ways. But thanks again for listening. God bless.